All right, what is up, Zox fam? We are back, man, with some more Etheria Restart. But today, we actually got a special guest, man. We got the homie TrueeVil on the channel once again. I had to make sure I snatched him up, man, because I promised you guys I would bring him back once we got, deeper into the game. So we're going to actually be getting into some more thought out processes with PvP, some strategies, different investment things to think about, all of that. So definitely welcome, TrueeVil. Appreciate you for coming through, man. How's everything
No
been going?
problem. Yeah, I'm having a great day, man.
No, that's good to hear,
Excited
bro.
to talk PvP, bro.
Dude, I'm like, dude, and it's funny because like I was saying to you earlier, I was like, dude, I just like started like building stuff for PvP, and I was like, you know what? I gotta talk to TrueeVil, dude. So just for those of you guys that don't know, like TrueeVil is actually like really high in RTA. I think one of like my favorite things about what he's been doing within the game is he's been basically approaching everything from a bruiser mentality, like a perspective. And he just told me just now, like he doesn't even have any 12 speeds on his account. Like I'm just like, dude, like like how did that happen? But I guess it can happen to any of us, I guess, apparently. But yeah, man. What I would say we can do here is just wherever you want to go, we can just kind of let you take the lead here. And like, what would you say would be kind of the starting point, really making that shift into like RTA?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things is when you start is you're going to have to get used to drafting, so you're going to play a couple of games, and I think what's a really good thing to talk about is things you realize when you like lose in the draft portion and not necessarily in the game part.
Yeah.
And I would say a really big tip for a lot of people who are just starting is to build a lineup so that you can't just lose immediately in the draft. And what I'm talking about is if you go to the units here, like
Yeah.
everyone has Ling Luo built basically on the account just
Yep.
because everyone got her for free. Really great in PvE. But the problem is that when you're doing all the PvE content, you may have 2 to 3 healers on your account. So you go in, start doing PvP, and you first pick Ling Luo, and then all of a sudden they pick Sonya and Fushu, and you're like, oh man, dude, I don't have another healer.
Yeah.
So then you get in a situation where, like, even if you ban one of their healers, they still have one. But if they ban yours, then well, you're not healing that game. So my like biggest tip for a lot of things is make sure that you have four of like the most necessary type of units. And like in this case, if like you have Ling Luo, Sonya, and Fushu on your account,
Mhm.
make sure you have a fourth healer. And the great thing is that there's a lot of SRs that are really strong meta units like Chiaki here. Chiaki is one of the best healers in the game, and the great things is she's an SR, and SR purple lattices are way easier to come by than gold. So easy to upgrade her, and she can do some really crazy things on her own, but it also makes it so you're never going to be stuck in a situation where you're like, oh man, I don't have a healer right now. What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually pretty fair because I think that's like I was trolling. I made a video the other day where I was like trying to take Obero through PvP and like um what I was doing to like basically force the ability of like just being able to debuff them how I wanted to. I was just like taking all the healers, and I noticed that like that was the common trend. A lot of players don't actually have really mostly from what I seen, Ling Lo and Sonya. Like if you took them in your draft, there's a high probability they don't have anyone else built for that specific job. Which again, that would kind of like definitely kill that kind of like metric of me playing like that. Cause then if somebody like I had somebody draft a Chiaki and I was like, dang, like now they now they're healing and they got damage reduction too. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it also works on like DPSs, I would say as well too,
Okay.
right? Because like say you have Tiamat on your you want to play bruisers, right? And you have
Okay.
Tiamat on your account and you have Holden on your account.
Okay.
And the thing is, right, is like you have those two, but like do you have Rahu? Do you have Makoto? Because the thing is because bruisers are so big and you want to play bruisers, if you don't have like four of them necessarily, right? It's like you might like pick Holden first, and then they pick like Tiamat and Makoto, and then it's like, what are you gonna do if you don't have another DPS? And then you're gonna be stuck in one of those situations where you don't have a DPS, and it's just like making sure you go in to the draft knowing that you can't be beaten just because they pick two units and they deny you those units. Because the big thing with, I would say, before you get to diamond and you get the pre-ban and the protected pick, is that you have to protect your units in a certain way by just making sure you have two of those primary roles like healers and damage dealer.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're basically saying like the protecting starts before you even have that feature, like even
Yeah,
accessible to you,
it's
basically.
just like in a different way, and
Yeah.
like knowing how it goes differently. Like when you have the third pick protected, then it's just like I can win the game by only having one healer because I can protect that. Or say if you're a cleave player, right? And you're going to be cleaving with like Messiah or Yelly,
Yeah.
you can put that in that one spot. So like your other roles, you can pick two units on those and you don't have to worry about that. So like that's pretty important, I think, because there's like three big roles and we get five units. So kind of thinking of it like if I need a support from my DPS, I need a healer or something along those lines. It's a little different for every comp. Like I was just talking about cleave. Usually they want some kind of dispel block unit,
Yeah.
and then the support unit that buffs your cleave, and then the cleave unit itself. So like if you're playing against a team that's like um really tanky bulwark things, if you're a cleave player, you're going to want to have Heinrich on your account
Okay.
or Mia or something like that just to do the block dispel. That's going to be really strong because Heinrich is just amazing against pretty much everything in the game if he can get his skill 3 to go off. And if you only have him, though, for that role of the dispel, then it's tougher to get that consistently. So having, say, like a Mia built as well is really going to help because Mia, she doesn't require that much to be like an absolute menace on the cleave team.
Mm.
Like she really just needs her speed from the lattices, and then her skill 2, I think level 3 is the sweet spot, and then she is just an absolute monster because she also has the pushback in her skills. So it's just like you want to make sure that you're getting your roles right, because that's when things start to go south and you start seeing people draft these miserable comps. Like, you denied them having a damage dealer, so they end up drafting like four healers or something because they
Yeah.
can't do anything else.
Yeah. So that I think that that's definitely like the biggest thing, and I think that kind of almost goes back to like the foundationary things, like how you can take advantage of like using your two times and stuff like that. Like I feel like I've had two times rotations where I just like literally have been like fleshing out more units and getting EXP and leveling and six-starring units. So I could actually have more choices to build, like, for those things. Like, because it's like almost like if you have the modules, that's like, okay, cool. But like, I've also seen, and like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, in terms of like investment requirement for a unit, do you feel like everything needs to necessarily be at 6-star for you to really like use them in RTA, or you feel like you can get away with certain like style units like at lower like thresholds versus others?
So I don't think you need the max level necessarily. Like I don't
Okay.
think every needs to be 6-star level 50, but in the beta, like the final test, I didn't think things needed to be 6-star, but because they have added it where you get that additional speed, a lot of the times the units that were previously in like the betas that were like 5-star units for PvP,
Yep.
they need that speed, right? So Catchy, the rare unit right now, is really big and like high elo because of the stun and the pushback,
Yep.
and it's just awesome because with the skill 2 you can give attack buff to your cleave unit as well as you can just give it to himself so he can get to the stun even quicker. So he's an absolute monster right now, and what a lot of people are doing is he's 6-star level 1. So you don't necessarily need to use the books on him, but you do need the speed because like if you're going to be using a lot of these utility units, most of the time the reason they're for is to use their skill at the beginning. So I think having that speed is really important.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean that makes perfect sense to me because yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that like, comparatively to like a DPS, which even DPS is like you still kind of have to 6-star them for the raw damage. A lot of the utilities, I think, even in PvE content, it's either you roll that extra speed or your gear rolls the extra speed for you. Whereas it seems like in PvP, you just kind of want that extra speed in general. So I think that
Right.
that is important.
And I mean, people will do crazy things to make sure their character is the fastest thing. Like for Freya, for example, if we go to Freya, like what people do with Freya, she's one of the best SSR units, not just because of like her kit itself, but it's because she works so well without any lattices, right?
Yep.
But in PvP, what people end up doing is maxing her skill 1 because A, you want the speed, but also her passive effect where she gets that 4% increase turn meter when there's like a buff applied.
Yep.
A lot of people are putting bulwark on her, right?
To
Because the
insta.
bulwark gets applied at the beginning of the match, so she
Yeah.
gets that just additional turn meter increase at the beginning. So it's like you'll see people like do everything they can to get that first opening attack. So
No,
I
no, and
think
that makes
it's just
sense.
really important. So always think like if you have a unit like Freya, for example, it's like I want her to go first all the time. What can I do to make sure that always happens? And in her sakes, it's max the skill 1, get 6-star to get the max speed, and then put bulwark on her. Not because you want bulwark on her, but because it gives her a turn meter increase. So if someone has some crazy speed other than you, I think say if you only have purples on her and you're playing someone who has like golds, that bulwark push is actually going to make her faster than like a +8 speed or whatever.
Yeah.
So really important to like think about stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I didn't, and it's crazy because I heard that like I was like I feel like that meta kind of developed like a minute ago, but I remember that. And I just didn't even think about that. But so that is like a really important thing because you're just all you're really doing is you're playing more into what the character's gimmick is. And so it's like kind of acknowledging like, okay, this is what this character does, and this is how I can kind of basically pull more out of them to get them to do their job, essentially. So okay. So
Yeah, I
okay,
think like matrices and shells and stuff, like knowing if there's like a shell that really like benefits from the kit, like for example, a lot of people with Kazuya, what people are doing with her is because one of her like what I think it's her skill 2 makes it so when she attacks it doesn't break slumber itself. So you'll see a lot of people with Jackal Guard on her because not only does Jackal Guard give her the speed up and that turn meter increase, but
yeah,
the damage it does, it doesn't break the sleep. So not only do you have this annoying unit that can permanently sleep, but now she also does damage. So like thinking like that. And it's also like Born too. A lot of people are doing like damage shells on him because of his skill too. Just makes it so like his damage gets buffed like crazy. So you'll see people build like Dark Moon and other types of shells that actually do more damage than his attacks because of like how the shell scales with his passives.
with passive, yeah, and see that, and I think that that's the thing that from the game's design that they're looking to see like how we were going to kind of come up with stuff. Which is kind of interesting because like you don't really hear too much about Born, so
Yeah.
like it's kind of. I'm assuming that that's something that's being used in like high elo right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's like two people that like the thing is, right, is most I would say 99% of the player base doesn't have Born built.
Yeah, true.
So it's just like the good thing about having that gimmick is like say when I draft, I'm trying to pick units they have. Well, they know no one has Born, so they can safely pick like Born 5th pick and never have to worry about that so they can prioritize other things. And
Yeah,
that also makes it more powerful because you have this very strong unit that they can't take away from you, which is
yeah,
different than like I would say right now some of the biggest units are like Holden, for example. Like you're gonna have to fight over Holden, but you know, you don't have to worry about that with Born, and that's like kind of a blessing because, well, sure, they might pick the Holden, but Born actually kind of like absolutely mogs on Holden because of the like color
Oh,
advantage.
attribute affinity, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got destroyed earlier. It was like a 1v1 with a Holden and a Mysania, and it was funny because like I had like the complete advantage at first, and when it boiled down to that 1v1, I was like, dude, every time I touch him, he's slapping her. He's like,
Yeah.
he's just like wrecking her. But it boiled down to attribute advantage to disadvantage. So I guess I kind of gateways me into like the next thing because I noticed that that's like one thing like I see a lot of people asking is like, you know, what should my gear focuses be? Because I noticed that like that transition from like just doing PvE content versus like PvP can be like kind of a mix up for some people. Do you feel like there's like, you know, variations in like what you're investing in, or is it like somewhat the same from PvE to PvP gear wise?
I would say some of it does not apply. Like I would say like Fushu, for example, is
Okay.
something that is feels like completely different from like PvE versus PvP.
Yeah.
Because like this unit is good, right? So like I would say the first step is always you just use the unit because you know they're good. And then you start seeing like their weaknesses, right? So like with Fushu, she has to use her skill 3 to make her good because she has to have the Moonlit Veil or otherwise she's just this really slow unit.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is like Holden will skill to her and then reset her cooldowns and then she doesn't get to play the game. Or like you play someone with a Lily and instead of doing the twin trick like happens most of the time, they decide to use the skill 3 because the
Yeah.
skill 3 resets all the cooldowns even though they don't have anything twin tricked and your unit just doesn't actually work the way they're supposed to. And it just basically makes it so they get like 2 free turns on you.
Yep.
So my biggest thing with her is that you need to say add bulwark on her.
Okay.
So they can't just hold in skill 2. And then after using that for a little bit, you'll see what they do to get around the bulwark, which is, there's D spells with things like Obel, Heinrich, etc., etc. And you have to figure out how do I get around that? And it's like with her, because she's just so innately tanky, she doesn't like necessarily need like 3 HP percent pieces, right?
Yeah.
So what people end up doing is like putting 1 or 2 effect res pieces on her, which is something you just never see people build in PvE. So I would say a big difference in like PvE versus PvP is people will build like effect res and things like that,
Okay.
which you don't see ever. And the reason for it is it seems weird because like bulwark gives you immunity. Why would we want resistance, right? But you want to make sure that the bulwark stays up so they can't do the crazy skill and leave it up to like whatever the percentage chance is after that. So like if you can keep the bulwark up, it's really nice. And for say something like Doki Doki, Doki is an amazing cleanse unit, but if she's like blocked by Heinrich, she can't get her stacks, which means she can't cleanse.
Yeah.
So, effect res sometimes is not enough. Bulwark isn't enough, but together, right? Because the first, I think it's 3 hits with Heinrich's skill 3, and basically all 3 of them are trying to dispel the bulwark, and then it goes into the block. So
Got
basically,
it.
you're just giving more of a chance to make sure the block doesn't land, and your characters get to do the job.
So you're giving yourself more, basically more layers, essentially.
Right.
Is really what it is. Like it's just more defensive layers, which I think that that's something that like is a little bit different than like doing a lot of the PVE stuff. Because the PVE stuff, like even like the idea of building bloodbath, like there's like not really too many scenarios where it's like you have to build bloodbath to do this. So it's kind of like there it's like kind of like speed, like a swift rush is like predominant, and here it's like kind of like okay, this is what I'm up against, and this is how I have to play against it. So it's like CC is rampant. You know, people having like what's it called? What is it? It's a slumber that's crazy right now with the Kaz, Obel with the dot, and the stuns. And yeah, they have a lot
Mio
of
freeze.
Mio freeze. Yeah, I had to deal with that yesterday.
Mio is awkward because of the wound too.
Yeah, and that is like that's what I think also makes Heinrich kind of feel like kind of crazy when you fight him too, because like it's like he does all this like extra damage, but he's also taking all your stuff and amping damage at the same time. Like it's just like, yo, who is this guy?
Yeah, you forget how busted Heinrich is because like he wasn't necessarily, I would say, as good as he is now, say like at the very beginning of the game, but now
Yeah,
since everyone kind of has like these final builds and like not necessarily enough lattices to build everything, but they have enough lattices to have like at least a functional RTA team. He's really shining because like maybe you didn't know that Tiamat can't get her stacks when she's blocked.
right.
And you're
Yeah,
gonna find out real quick how awkward it is when Tiamat can't transform for 3 turns straight because of Heinrich.
and I'm almost certain you just taught somebody something. I bet you know. Like, there's a lot of people that probably didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember like realizing how broken he was because I had like Doki and Tiamat on my team,
Yeah.
and then they got blocked, and it's like, oh my god, my units actually just don't do anything.
Yeah, and that's what I think is kind of like like, dude, freaking Makoto, dude, she slaps. Like I was fighting her, like I fought two of them recently, and there was one that I fought like it was like every time he hit me, I was like, dude, I'm just feigning. Like you just like my characters, like my characters are like not standing a chance right now. Like I'm like it's crazy. Like why is this defensive unit hit so hard? But
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
she's amazing.
yeah, it's cool though because I also feel like that's like kind of like those things like those investment choices that some people made where like now like you said they have those builds and then even for those that have the lattice into them they're like completely different units. So I guess like with all of that with RTA, what would be like your biggest advice when it comes down to like trying to climb? Because I know that there's definitely different like methods. Like I've talked to some people where they'll like play the whole season. I've talked to some people that like to prefer they prefer to actually like wait till like the last week and then do RTA. Is there like a preference that you feel like just kind of should be like a standard for most average players, or is it just kind of like how you feel basically?
I would say every day except the very last day is nice. The
Okay.
thing is, you know, most people are procrastinators, right? So if you wait till the very like last 8 hours of a season, that's probably the time where the most people are playing the game. So probably that will be the most difficult day, but it really just depends on like how you feel about your account.
Yeah.
Can you actually do it? Do you feel like you can do it with your investment? Like for example, my Veronica isn't like fully built yet. I only have like 3 lattices into her total,
Yeah.
and it's just like, do I feel comfortable like drafting this unit even though I don't have all her crazy things? Because if you look at how much better her skill 2 and her skill 3 are latticed, right? It's
Yeah.
just like night and day difference,
Yep.
especially with the skill 3 having the 2 lattices in to make it so her spread buff's 100%. Because like I use her now and it's like it's awkward when it's like, oh yeah, I stole the buffs and it spreads and it like doesn't give it to anyone else. So
Yeah.
it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yep. I actually
So
had seen somebody do that and I was like, wait, it didn't give it to anyone. All right, cool.
yeah. Yeah, and it like, you know, it's just like, do you feel comfortable using your units at like the lattice levels they are? And that really comes down to like how much did you invest in your PvE over your PvP, I think is a big thing. But what I would do if you don't feel comfortable with your like PvP team now is to like make sure you at least always get that 2000 score every week. And
Yep.
Fearless Arena is just a really nice way to do that. It's, it's unranked, stress free. Get to see how your account pairs. I would do a couple of those, and if you feel like you're getting matched against people way higher accounts than you, then I would actually go into actual RTA and checking to say if like maybe all those people are diamond and above, whereas you may be a silver or a gold,
Yeah.
and just like compare, because if you just do fearless, you might be too scared to actually do summit arena because you're only seeing like say top 50 people. Because if you go to like the rank right there,
Yep.
you'll see,
Oh,
oh,
did
they
it
reset it.
reset? It
I
definitely
didn't know
had
they
people
reset it.
like 100 or something
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
That's
They
funny.
that's crazy they reset that.
But we
But
know we know there was crazy numbers up here.
yeah, like I do fearless on stream, so I think I had like 80 or something, but
Yeah, you were high.
there's still people with like over 150, dude, and it's just
Yeah.
like if you get matched against that guy like 5 times in a row when you're just starting off, like maybe maybe it feels bad, right? But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you got to like always compare, because maybe that's not actual case. And I think always test both waters out, because like if you can win in fearless arena pretty consistently, I think it would be really easy for you to climb quickly in RTA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just like checking those.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think like one of the things too, like one thing I like even was saying, like I kind of regretted not doing was like I said, I did my first Fearless Arena yesterday, right? And I was just playing, just kind of like, okay, cool. And then I went and I looked at the rewards tab. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this is stuff I just hadn't been getting just from participating. So I think it's like even just that. It's like, even if you don't necessarily feel like you're the most prepared, I would still say like try. You never know. You might get some W's. But also too, like there are some things where it's just as simple as did you participate? Right? Like I do agree with that. So like that was resources like when we talk about what we're like 3 months in, like how much Fearless Arena I've missed is like going on every weekend. like,
Yeah.
like that's a ton. That's a ton of lattice, right? Like that adds up. So hey, listen, it ain't just you guys. It be us too, apparently. But I guess like one of the last things I want to ask here is in terms of like your go to for farming, like for PvP. What would be the focus point for players? Because I noticed that that's like something that like everybody's trying to get those like crazy speed pieces, but it's just like, okay, realistically, what's going to give you the most, or what do you feel like personally is more efficient to do for you to really be able to like see progression or to really be able to climb in like the current climate of RTA?
For me personally, what I can only say what I farm,
Uh huh.
which is 2x, you do the modules, right?
Yep.
And I actually, because I have say slower runs, I don't have 3 stars on anything,
Okay.
right? I have 2 stars on everything. I think I'm still 1 star on Aurora. So it's like kind of slow. So what I make sure I do in 2x is always have enough investigation to build like 3 units up to like level 60, level fit, or I mean 6 star level 50.
Yep.
And then I always make sure that I have enough prowess that like I looked at my units and I'm like, I have enough GP outposts to cover an entire month in case if we go 4 weeks without this, right? And like
Okay.
I think that's always really important. And then what I'm doing currently on this 2x is I am doing like auroras, which takes a little bit of time for me. I think it takes 6 minutes a run, which is pretty bad.
Woo.
I
I didn't.
definitely need to fix that.
Okay. Okay. But are
So
you able to at least finish though? Is the
yeah,
question.
they're all 100%.
No, no, I'm saying like at the end of the two times, like, do you feel like you like are running into like issues with your time, like, or like you're like fine?
That's why I do the other ones too. It's like
Okay,
I make sure, I do Aurora mainly when it's just like, oh, I got to do some chores around the house. I click to do this on continuous battle.
okay,
And
got
then,
it.
like, when I'm active and I have more time to, like, burn my stamina, I do Doki and Terror.
Okay,
And some people think, like, you should never do Terror. And I just don't think that's the case, right? Because like you're still running like Keen Eye on a lot of units. Fury Edge is a really big thing. Like I would
Yeah.
say in this 2x from just the pieces I've upgraded, I did say I think I blew like 10 capsules on Terramaton,
Hmm.
and like the most significant upgrades I got were from Terramaton. So I would all remember to that there are 3 bosses, right? Because a lot of people will go in and like only farm Doki Doki, or they'll only go in and farm Aurora.
Yeah.
But there's just like a whole lot of other pieces, and as long as you like make sure you get a little bit of everything, right? So like I did probably like 1,000 stamina worth of Terramaton. I've used about 2,000 on Doki, and then everything else is kind of going on Aurora. Make sure you cover everything, because it always, you might be like tunnel visioned on like Swift Rush or Bloodbath or Bulwark, but sometimes you are like, dang, dude, I really need a good Ether Plague piece. And you like go and look and you don't have it. And it
Yeah.
just feels really bad. So making sure that you cover everything is really going to help in like maybe like 2 weeks when you don't think about that piece. Like right now, a lot of people are thinking about Bloodbath in terms of PvP. And it's just like weapons, if you're not thinking about Bloodbath in 2 weeks and you have to go back and you're like, oh, wait, I need some Bramble pieces.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like I say to always at least what I would say is say if you're running like a scale and it's like 100% is everything you have, I would say make sure you at least always spend at least 10% on all 3 different ones, just to make sure that you have like quality pieces for everything, and then pick the one thing that you want to go all out in,
Okay.
or like split between, and then make sure you do investigation and GP outposts, because it feels really bad doing GP outposts when it's not 2x.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with that 1,000%. I did, and the reason why I asked that though is because I do see that like advice kind of like loosely given sometimes, where it's like Bramble's no good, don't farm that, and I'm like, well, what if something comes out and you have no Bramble, but now you got to go like mass farm Bramble, but it's like mixed in with other stuff, so it's not like you're just getting that, you're also getting other pieces, so it's like I that's what I've come to find to do is like just kind of aiming for everything. And I think that that ends up being like the long term play, really.
even then, it's just like, on the Module Forge event, I think it was last week,
Yep.
I built a Bramble piece. I told people I built a Bramble piece, and they're like, Bramble sucks. Why'd you build that? And then I would match them in RTA, and they're like, oh my God, dude, what's your Rahu doing? Why is he hitting so hard? And I'm just like, yeah, I made a Bramble piece for him, little bro.
Yeah. Like, and I think that, that's the thing I've been looking at with RTA is like, for me, it's not being so close minded to a singular meta, because I think like with everything, like as soon as something becomes popular, there's always something or someone that's going to come out with something else, and it's going to require a whole nother thing. And I think it's just kind of figuring out what works best for you. And I think the more that you have accessible to you, the more you can answer things. That's at least how I feel with the game. Is like I want to be able to answer more things than just like I'm stuck in this one kind of like bracket and I can only really play in that bracket basically. So yeah, I definitely do
100%.
agree. Yeah.
That's like, like the balance patch, right?
Yeah.
There's people who had like 15 rev shells on their account, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be like that, where it's just like I have spent an entire month only farming the one broken thing in the game, and then it's like, oh, they nerfed the thing. So it's better to have that smorgasbord, because like right now everyone's building Bloodbath.
Yeah.
But it's like, what happens if Bloodbath gets a change, right? And maybe Bloodbath is not the best thing in the world. If 90% of everything you have is Bloodbath, it's gonna make you kind of bummed out and like not
True.
enjoy the game as much. So not only does doing a variety like make it so that doesn't like help, but it also helps prevent like a roadblock of like, oh, I can't have fun in the game anymore. If you farm everything, even if they do something that is like a balance patch that you may agree with or may not agree with, it won't like make it so you can't have fun. So I think that's a really big thing too with farming everything
Yeah.
is just it makes it so you're open and you can actually try things.
Nah, that makes sense. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, dude, I gotta say, like that has kind of helped me a lot. Like, cause to be honest, like I said, it's just like that transition is a little interesting, especially if that wasn't like your initial focus. I think more people, more than not, probably went into the game was like, hey, I'm focusing PvE first, then I'll worry about PvP later, but didn't really actually think about what that transition was going to really feel and look like. So yeah, man, like I gotta say thank you for coming through to make this video with me because like I said, I'm going through that process now and see, I'm about to use that building bulwark thing. I'm definitely about to do that, but I'm gonna let you end the video off, man. Is there like any last thing that you want to like gem drop, mic drop, or it could just be anything regular. It don't gotta be nothing crazy that you want to end the video off with.
Nothing. Thanks for having me here, and it was a great time, and I hope everyone's enjoying Etheria Restart.
Yo, no, I appreciate that, man. Guys, make sure that you guys check out TrueeEvil's channel. I'm gonna have it linked down below. Like I said, this dude is like he's been blasting the game with this bruiser setup. This man has done basically everything. He's like the Rahu advocate. Like seriously, make sure you guys go and check out his channel, man, and go support. I know he plays some other games, or he's prepping to play some other stuff too. So definitely make sure you guys go over there and show him some love for that as well. So again, appreciate you, TrueeEvil, and everyone. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. But we'll catch you guys later. All right, guys. Peace.